Spirit of life and love, thank you for the gifts of life and love. Help us to embrace fully the sweet and bitter moments of our days. Help us to treasure the times of abundance and to find meaning in the times of emptiness. Help us in our abundance to reach out to those who hunger, and help us in our times of hunger to admit our neediness and to accept the caring hand of our neighbour. Let us take a moment in silence to be with our own thoughts and prayers. Thank you. When I started to gather ideas for this service, it was following a clearing out of some crates in the attic, one of which held letters and cards from when I retired. One of my staff gave me a lovely little thank you book, and I lost count of the number of thank yous I read that afternoon. On the Radio 4 programme Saturday Live, there is usually a thank you story about half an hour into the programme. Several of these feature travel disasters. I was hoping I wasn't going to have one this morning. Cycling accidents, motorbikes turning over, rescue at sea, stranded on train. And there is always someone who did a good deed to help them out. And someone needed to say thank you, but very often in the height of the moment, they forgot. This is a true story of a thank you delayed by 37 years. John Harrison was a reporter for the Daily Express when he was called to follow the Royal Tour of Canada in 1973. This was a time of no laptop or mobile phone. He contacted his wife during the trip, only to hear that his 8-month pregnant wife was due to be induced in 4 days' time. No mobile or laptop, and not many flights either. And John couldn't manage to get a flight back to the UK. As he bemoaned this to fellow reporters, his story was heard by the Queen's press officer, Ron Allison, who passed it on to St Martin Charteris, who was the Queen's private secretary, who obviously passed it on to the Queen. And the Queen said, "Let the young man come back with us," because the royal party were leaving Canada the next day. So John got his lift back to the UK on a royal flight. He wrote to Buckingham Palace to thank the Queen, and the return letter was one of congratulations for the new baby. John became the senior political correspondent for the BBC, and then went to spend several years as a South African correspondent, where he sadly died in a car accident. So we roll on 37 years, and the baby, Paul Harrison, is now a Sky News reporter covering the Royal Tour of Canada in 2010. And unbeknown to Paul, the then Royal Press Secretary secretly arranged for him to meet the Queen, and to his complete surprise, meeting her, he thanked the Queen on behalf of his mother for enabling his dad to get home in time for the birth. "I'm glad we were able to help," said the Queen. A bit of a secret behind all these little walks down to the piano and back. It's adding up on my steps for the day, so it makes me feel good. Now, in this next part of the service, if you are on Zoom, you will be able to read the next section in the PowerPoint. And if you are here in Newcastle, I've placed little readings on your seats to share with others. If you haven't got one, let me know now and I'll pass you one. Are you all right in the back? And these are little readings from either the great and the famous, or perhaps that famous, very famous person, Anon. Thinking of important times when we say thank you. Thank you for friends. Thank you for help. Thank you for kindness. Thank you for listening. Here's a little group of quotes about thank you and friends. Has anyone got number one? There we are.
This is about listening from Thich Nhat Hanh.
Right.
The most precious gift we can offer anyone is our attention.
Thank you very much. And has anyone got the one about friends that starts with Virginia Woolf?
Yeah. Some people go to priests, others to poetry, I to my friends.
Mm. And someone got number 2 for friends.
Not unhappy to read it myself.
That's right, I've got it here. Only your real friends will tell you when your face is dirty. This next one has been ascribed to Shakespeare. A friend is one that knows you as you are, understands where you have been, accepts what you have become, and still gently allows you to grow. And from Ralph Waldo Emerson, thank you for each new morning with its light. Thank you for rest and shelter of the night. Thank you for health and food, for love and friends. Thank you for everything thy goodness sends. Got a little section of readings about thank you for help. Has anyone got number 1 there?
This is from George Eliot. What do we live for, if not to make life less difficult for each other?
Thank you. I'm sure we all know people who make life more difficult for each other. Has someone got the reading from Anne Frank?
How wonderful it is that nobody need wait a single moment before starting to improve the world.
Thank you. One from Mother Teresa. We can do no great thing, only small things with great love. And from Albert Schweitzer. Wherever a man turns, he can find someone who needs him. This is my favourite one from Martin Luther King Jr. The first question which the priest and the Levite asked was, if I stop to help this man, what will happen to me? But the Good Samaritan reversed the question. If I do not stop to help this man, what will happen to him? From Winston Churchill. We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. And from Charles Spurgeon, who was actually the founder of many children's homes. It ought to be as habitual to us to thank as to ask. And from Aldous Huxley, most human beings have an almost infinite capacity for taking things for granted. We have a little group of quotes about kindness. Has someone got number 1 for that one?
It's from Mark Twain. Kindness is the language which the deaf can hear and the blind can see.
Thank you. Is anyone number 2? This is by Samuel Johnson. Always set a high value on spontaneous kindness. Wordsworth. That best portion of a good man's life, his little, nameless, unremembered acts of kindness and of love. And from J.M. Barrie, Peter Pan. Those who bring sunshine into the lives of others cannot keep it from themselves. And I'll just read that one about listening that we had to start off with. Thich Nhat Hanh, the most precious gift we can offer anyone is our attention. And the next little one, which is probably the oldest of the lot because it was written by the Stoic philosopher Epictetus, we have 2 eyes and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. And isn't it interesting that silent and listen are spelled with the same letters? And just a few other little ones that don't actually fall into any of the categories that we've used so far. This one is from a Native American leader, Tecumseh. When you rise in the morning, give thanks for the light, for your life, for your strength. Give thanks for your food and for the joy of living. If you can see no reason to give thanks, the fault lies in yourself. A Chinese proverb. When eating bamboo sprouts, remember the man who planted them. I would thank you from the bottom of my heart, but my heart has no bottom. Very lastly, in the 86,000 seconds that make up today, have you used or will you use one of them to say thank you? You may have already used thank you this morning, but when did we start learning the word? Probably from birth or its alternative, ta. The magic words, please and thank you, the ones we usually bother to learn if we're visiting a country with a language different to our own. But for instance, do we know how to say thank you in Welsh or in Gaelic? Not so very far away from us. I had a little boy who joined my school with a Polish family, one of 6 families who came, and this little boy had 2 words, please and thank you. And that was in September, and by Christmas, he was talking in big sentences. When you say thank you, you acknowledge the receipt of a thing, a kindness, or offered help. This acknowledgement may be enthusiastic with a smile, thank you, or without enthusiasm, thank you, rather flatly said. We teach children to use thank you when they receive something and may correct them if they forget to respond. Do you use thank you enough? I have to agree with Aldous Huxley when he writes of our infinite capacity to take things for granted. This can have the effect of making people feel that their efforts have been for nothing. Diana, Princess of Wales, was a prolific writer of thank you letters, always making people feel really pleased when they got them. We always remember those who thank us. It's a social connection. I always used to write a thank you letter on the classroom board when the children had performed in a whole school assembly, thanking them for their effort, and their teachers too. There are stories of people who have got a new job just because of their politeness in saying thank you. In fact, at my own place of work, we employed a new teacher who was so polite during her interview, saying thank you for each question before she answered it. And this translated into her teaching and was noticeable in the general social behaviour of her pupils, commented on by Ofsted, no less. I have to say at this point, though, that not all thank yous are said. Sometimes you get a thank you smile, but sometimes it's something different. So one morning in school, one of our dads phoned up to say that he was coming to collect his little boy for a dental appointment. And because he was recognised by the secretary, she let him into the school because of schools are like Fort Knox. You can't get in without ringing lots of bells and buzzers. So he came in and he came down to his child's classroom and got his child, and his child was putting the coat on, but rather slowly. And that I just happened to appear at that time. I said, everything all right? Yes, I'm just taking Tom for a dental appointment. Tom didn't look very happy. And it wasn't that sort of happy, it wasn't that fear of the dentist, it was something else. And I said, just a minute, I've got something that Tom needs to take with him. So I took him up to the office and I just said, wait here a minute. And we very quickly phoned Mum. And Mum said, on no account, let him go with Dad. And she hadn't filled us in at school about this, so I'm glad we did it. So I came out and Dad had gone, And the little boy just squeezed my hand. That was a thank you. As a gran, I really appreciate those little letters of thank you my grandchildren said, because I know it's a labour of love for them, but their letters are cherished and I can keep them. Thank you is a word essential to our social interactions. For instance, if you spend the day by yourself, you may not use the word, but as soon as you're on the laptop, on the phone, or out and about, then thank you is used. Thank you for an email. Thank you for your call, and a thank you to the bus driver, who sometimes says thank you as well. Thank yous make our day. Over the last couple of weeks, we've heard an outpouring of thank yous following the death of the Queen. Words from the new King. And to my darling Mama, as you begin your last great journey to join my dear late Papa, I simply want to say this: thank you. Thank you for your love and devotion to our family and to the family of nations you have served so diligently all these years. And words that the children will remember about the Queen is when she had tea with Paddington Bear. And Paddington Bear said, "Thank you, Ma'am, for everything." And the Queen's response, "That's very kind." Thank you. I always say thank you when I hear that piece of music. It was written by a friend of ours who actually wrote it for my son when it was his baby blessing, and he played that at the service. Rather beautiful. Very old now, my son's 27. The other pieces of music today at the beginning and the end of the service are from a suite of music written on the island of Skye. So I've brought Scotland with me today.